Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to Carmen and Friends. And my friend today is Jonny Magill from Jonny Nomad Media. How are you?
I am doing absolutely amazing, Carmen. Thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed watching all of these and watching all of your friends and kind of becoming friends with people, through you. So, living vicariously through these conversations. So this is absolutely amazing. And I'm just very glad to be sitting where I am. Thank you.
I'm not sure that anyone's ever said that they live vicariously through me. So that's exciting.
All right. One for me. There we go.
That's awesome. So the other day I was watching I interviewed my CEO from FASTSIGNS International, and then she highlighted us on a call with other franchisees, and she said, Carmen is an extrovert. And I thought, yep, that's me. But no one's ever said they live vicariously through me. So there you go. Two in a matter of a week. That's awesome.
Awesome. And you know what? That's the hardest thing. I know we're going to talk a little bit about COVID in a little while, but that's the hardest thing for people like you and I is the extra extroverts that love people, that feed off of other people's energy. To not have that is really difficult. So it's good that spirits are still up and we're still kind of getting out there. But I know how you feel.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about Jonny Nomad Media. And you are not Jonny Nomad.
Interestingly enough, you've got my name on the bottom of the screen. That is correct. It's not a misspelling. That is my actual name, even though most everybody knows me as Jonny Nomad. So I'm going to give you a very, very quick history on the Nomad part of this. So I was born in the state of Florida, but never lived here until 5 years ago. I was actually adopted when I was 3 days old, brought up to the Northeast, lived in New York City till I was 4, lived on Long Island till I was 13, 14, went to prep school in New Hampshire, college in Boston, have played hockey all over the United States and Canada, spent some time in San Diego, spent some time in Iowa, and of course, lived in Texas right before we moved here. So, I mean, it just whirlwind. And that's where the nomad thing comes from, because I'm really honestly happier when I'm out and around and doing things and moving around. Although I will tell you, since we moved here 5 years ago, initially, our plan was, we moved here to be close to my mom and dad, and they still live down in Boca Raton. They're getting up in their years. But we said if the time came that they weren't here anymore, we would probably move right back to Texas. And now I'll tell you, living here in Ormond, just a couple of blocks away from the beach, we really don't feel that way anymore. I think we've set down roots, and we really enjoy it here. And some of the people that I've met here have already become lifelong friends, and I think we're going to stay. So the nomad part of it, I'll still drive around a lot, but as far as us moving again, I think we found our forever home here. So moving on to the Jonny Nomad Media side of it, in a nutshell, Jonny Nomad Media provides photography, videography services on the ground, in the water, and in the sky. No babies, no brides. So that's pretty much what it is. I really enjoy working with small businesses, 501c3s, working with other creatives, and that's really what we do. I'm not the guy you're going to call for the weddings, and I'm not the guy you're going to call for the photo shoots with the family on the beach. And I do some graduation photos here and there, and I have a small group of people that I shoot for people, but mostly corporate stuff. And I'm really, really proud of what I do, and I love it. Love my clients. Wouldn't do anything different.
And you're really, really good at it. I mean, your photos are amazing. And just to go back to what you said, I have to agree, because we took over the business. We're going on to year 3. Well, it will be 3 years in August. And I drove every single day from Apopka here for 2 years. And then I sold my home because I was really like falling in love with the people here. And I live beachside in Port Orange. And now I'm like you. I'm like, I couldn't see myself going anywhere. And I'm a military brat. I've been all over the place. And I thought Apopka was my forever home. But I have to say, I absolutely love it here. And the people here are amazing. I'm with you there 100%. So I love the photos that you take of this amazing community. I mean, you post stuff that's just breathtaking.
Thank you. You know, it's something that I absolutely love to do, the aerial side of it. Although this is a very challenging place to fly drones legally, we have a lot of
Mhm.
airports around, and there are very specific rules and laws that you have to go by. I mean, I have a manual that I carry around with me that's that thick that I created just for my own policies and procedures. But, you know, for me, showing people the beauty of this area, and I jokingly call it, like recently, it's been socially distancing from at or below 400 feet because that's legally the range that I'm allowed to fly. But you know, seeing the beauty every single day that this area has to offer over the river, over the ocean, even over the cities. I mean, it's just gorgeous. There's some of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen, and you know, unfortunately, I'm not really an early riser because my creative time is late at night, so up till sometimes 3, 4 in the morning. So every once in a while, you may see a sunrise out of me, but most of the time it's sunsets, and I just absolutely love it. It's fun, and of course, traveling. You know, whenever we travel, you know, my wife will tell you, as much as we love to travel, it's never really a vacation. It's usually me with a camera running around. So here's what it is. You know,
That's awesome, but you get to capture the most beautiful memories, I bet. So,
absolutely, and some of the most beautiful places too. You know, we're hooked on cruises. We're hooked on the Caribbean, and you know, I've been fortunate to take you know some photos everywhere from St. Kitts and Nevis to Jamaica and Cozumel and Grand Cayman. I mean, just the list goes on and on. Tortola. I mean, we've been to some absolutely beautiful places, and to bring those amazing things home. And then also, you know, the fine art side of my business is letting people that didn't capture those memories when they were those places, or people that want to escape to those places that could not yet. They have the ability through my photography to find that themselves. So I'm glad
yeah, it's
with that
absolutely
too.
gorgeous. Of all the places that you've been, of all the places that you photographed, is there one that you're either dying to go back and photograph again, or you just loved photographing?
You know, that's difficult because I'll tell you, it's there's so many different things seasonally. So from the Caribbean side of it, I'll tell you there's two places. Number one, I captured a sunset that I think is one of the most beautiful sunset pictures I've ever taken. That was actually in St. Kitts. And I absolutely love it. I mean, the camera was almost down in the water. There was a wave crashing, and then this beautiful, I mean, hardly even touched it in post production as far as, you know, the way the thing looked right in my camera. It was just, it was meant to be right there at that moment. And I'll never forget that particular spot and that shot. And I would love to get back there again. And on the Caribbean side, also Aruba is fantastic. I'm a Jeep guy also, so we actually rented a huge lifted Jeep and we drove through this national park in Aruba to this point where it looked like no one had ever been there. And there was a beautiful, huge, rock sitting there, that was gigantic out in the middle of the water, and just photo opportunity. And the waves would crash and splash and the water was turquoise. Like, so Aruba and St. Kitts would definitely be places that I would absolutely love to get back to photograph. But in the United States, I'll also tell you, if you ever get the chance to go out west, go to Yellowstone, go to Zion, go to Grand Canyon, the desert Southwest, and Sedona, I got to say, some of those places just fantastic. Albuquerque, New Mexico, and when you have the pueblos outside in New Mexico that are just there's a place that I shot that was just I mean, unbelievable. People are living on top of this rock, and there's 15 families that live there year round, and that rock has been a home to those indigenous people for thousands of years, and it's just fantastic. I just love the lifestyle out there too. So, again, it's just I gotta travel. I gotta go see stuff. I don't know, but those would be the places I would say: national parks in the U.S. and the desert Southwest, and definitely St. Kitts and Aruba.
So, with that being said, I was going to ask how COVID-19 has affected your business. But obviously, because this is your passion, I mean, there's not a lot of people that get to do what they love to do every single day and make a living out of it. So, what a blessing. So
Absolutely.
it's been affected because you can't travel. So, what has the last, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been so long. I feel like this happened mid-March. Why is this dragging out? What does the last 4 months look like for Jonny Nomad Media?
It's been a little bit of a trip. So when you say that it was mid-March, I was stepping off of a cruise ship March 7th. So we were literally at that cutoff where you're not going to be allowed back in the country. As a matter of fact, we got on March 6th, I believe, we got to our last, or March 5th, I should say, we got to our last port, which would have been Grand Turk, and we were not allowed to get off the ship. It was 8 o'clock a.m. Everybody's downstairs waiting to get off the ship. 11:30, 12 o'clock still comes and goes. Oh, we're just waiting for this. Nope, never got off the ship. And then, of course, when we came back to the U.S., there was a little bit of a delay getting off. But luckily we got off the ship. As far as COVID and as far as my business goes, I did have a race that was scheduled for the Alfa Romeo team that was happening down in Tampa. It was kind of a GP style, Le Mans type, 24-hour endurance race type thing. That weekend got completely canceled, so that was washed out. Luckily, however, a lot of my businesses and a lot of my local clients that I deal with are recurring. And for them, the most important thing was if they were able to stay in business through the COVID outbreak, they needed to let people know if they were going to be open, when they were going to be open, how they were dealing with the COVID outbreak, how they were wanting to put out to the community, hey, we're safe, we're here, this is what we're doing, these are the steps we're putting in place to make sure that you can come in or that we can deliver to you. So in a way, I really haven't stopped very much. Some of the on-location stuff has stopped. And then one of the other things that I really love to do is actually to teach. And so I've been doing some one-on-one coaching, one-on-one mentoring with people, whether it's drone photography, just regular photography, editing videos. So it's given me the chance to share some of my abilities and some of my skills with other people that want to learn and want to kind of take their stuff to the next level. And of course, it gave me a little bit more of an opportunity to sharpen my own sword too. So tons of YouTube stuff and tons of reaching out to my mentors to say, hey, what are you doing now and how can I kind of benefit from that?
Is there someone in your, I am a product of mentorship. I think it's very important. I think it doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry, how long you've, whatever, how long you've, I literally just asked somebody to be my mentor again. And they were like, no, you need to mentor me. I was like, nope. You need to mentor me, because I think that we definitely need to do that. Is there someone that stands out to you that you're like, wow, if I wouldn't have met this person, my journey would have been totally different, or they've just impacted my life in such an amazing way? And who was that?
Well, I'll tell you, and the first person that comes to mind is a buddy of mine in Texas. His name is Sparky Sorensen. And Sparky is actually a cinematic aerial pilot who's been flying drones probably about 7 or 8 years. And keep in mind, I did not have a drone portion of my Jonny Nomad media business until I moved to Florida. So I've been flying drones for just over 3 years now. And when I decided to get involved in the drone thing, Sparky was the first guy that I reached out with. So not only did he put me in touch with an amazing company out of South Carolina called Carolina Drones, they're the ones that supply me with all of my drones. They are the ones that handle any issues that I have. If I ever need any sort of accessories, those are the guys I go to. So Sparky helped me in that. Sparky turned me on to the insurance company that I'm working with right now, which has been absolutely fantastic. Super important part of the business also. But I think as far as a mentorship part of it, for a photographer and videographer, especially when you're talking about drones, the easiest rabbit hole to fall down is gear. I mean, you can go out and every month you could spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. And, as your skills get better, sometimes the equipment you need may step up and need to be a little bit better. But what Sparky was able to do for me was to show me how reasonably to get involved in this, to put the most profit potential in to the least amount of investment, but to also do things the right way. He's always been there to answer questions for me as far as airspace goes. He's always been able to answer questions as far as how do I get bigger jobs? How do I get bigger paying clients? But most of all, he's been there to literally stop me from banging my head against the wall when I just wasn't sure of what direction to go. So Sparky, I know you might not be watching this, but again, I owe him a big, big thank you. And also locally, there is another gentleman that's been kind of a mentor in the aerial side of the business, and that's a guy named Anthony Galante. Anthony is a UAS or drone instructor over at Embry-Riddle University, and he's also with the Daytona Beach Police Department aerial unit. So he has been a wealth of information, kept me on the right track, and really helped me further not only my skills, but my knowledge. So I would say for a business side of it, those two guys would definitely be kind of the closest mentors that I've worked with. But I'll tell you locally, Carmen, and some of these people too, guys like Frank Stewart, guys like Sean Donovan, guys like Krista Goodrich, but women like Krista Goodrich. There is so many, Latoya and James from Kenneth Grant Inspirations. There are so many amazing entrepreneurs and people here with amazing minds that even though we don't necessarily have that mentorship relationship, we kind of watch each other and we kind of see what they do. And in a way we self-mentor with their example, if that makes any sense. So I'm just glad, I consider you a part of this too. And there's just a bunch of the movers and shakers in this town that I just love being around. And I feel like even though we don't talk all the time and we don't necessarily pick each other's brains all the time, that mentorship and that whole rising tide floats all boat mentality is really where that comes from.
I think that's what I love about this community. And I know you're part of the Positive Thought Alliance, and a lot of those people are as well. Everybody's just got this hunger to see the large majority succeed, right? So I've seen people in the same industry who you would naturally think would not work together, working together on big projects, helping each other when somebody has a downfall or is missing someone, this is a very uplifting community, which is amazing because I have seen since I've been here the impact that it makes socially on the community. And when I say that, like, I'll use the Margarita Ball as an example, which I was floored like nothing. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I know that there are other chapters, but when someone said, hey, you should go to this event, this is amazing, this is how that goes. And I walked in and saw thousands and thousands and thousands of toys for the kids. My heart just was full. And just, I had just moved here at the end of summer, and that was a very hard move for me. I have a servant's heart. And I am a giver. And when I saw that, I was like, I am in the right place. I knew I was in the right place. That same week for Thanksgiving, they literally filled the street with donations for food. And I know that you're involved with a lot of nonprofits. So let's talk a little bit about those nonprofits. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. No, you tell me. You've got a long list, but
well, I've got to say, there's several things in my life that I'm passionate about, and one of them is Jeeps. I'm on my 5th Jeep right now. It's the Jonny Nomad mobile, I call it. It's the black one everybody sees run around town with my name on it. That one's actually an 07. I bought it brand new. It's got 200,000 plus miles on it. And I'm sure there'll be another Jeep right behind it. So I love Jeeps. And so Jeep Beach, I first was approached by them in about 2018. To kind of start coming in and volunteering to just give a little bit of time to shoot some pictures and do some video and things. And since I've kind of taken on more of a behind the scenes staff role with them and working with Jeep Beach, if you don't know what Jeep Beach is, very quickly, Jeep Beach's sole mission, unlike any other event here that's a automotive related event or a bike related event, their sole mission is to raise money for other 501c3s. So when Jeep Beach does a giveaway, like they're doing a Gladiator giveaway, it's $50 a ticket, 4,500 tickets max. You could win a brand new $90,000 Jeep. Well, all the money that comes in from that, along with all of the money for registrations, all of the money for gear that people buy, all that money gets put into a pool and it gets divided out every year amongst other local charities. So some of the beneficiaries are like the Boys and Girls Clubs of Volusia Flagler counties, Childhood Cancer Foundation. You've got, NASCAR Speediatrics. You've got Oceans of Hope. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I could literally sit here and name, Petty Family Foundation right behind me. So I could sit here and name a ton of them. And I think the thing that I really, really love is when you dive in and you meet people that are passionate about what they do, and then they say, well, hey, you know what? I need you to meet so-and-so because they do this and they're so passionate about it, it's infectious. And then, of course, I end up getting pulled in mostly on my own, thought by, doing stuff for these 501c3s. And I've often talked to the wife and I said, look, if there was any way that Jonny Nomad Media could exist as purely a media company that provided services only to 501c3s, if there was some sort of grant out there that gave me operating expenses to do nothing but handle 501c3s, I would do that all day long. Aww. I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, that just makes me love you more. Just so you know. That's awesome. Yes, absolutely. Because like, our nonprofits and our organizations that are giving back to people in our community, that's the heart of our community, right? So I just love that. And the reality is, it's not just what you're doing with Jeep Beach. You are working with them on the side. So now you're working with this particular event to help them um, be able to provide donations and funds, right? Because they divide all of it up between like 35, you said, nonprofits.
Yeah, I believe in 2019 they gave over $350,000 away to 35 local charities,
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
just amazing power. And the best part about it also is not only is it the money, but the amount of notoriety that these charities get. And for some of them,
Mhm.
$1,000 check annually or a $5,000 check could literally make or break what they do. I mean, we're talking about everything from these larger charities all the way down to the little mom and pop charity that maybe only is able to service 3 or 5 families a year, or 3 or 5 people with needs. But there is a process that people can submit their charity to Jeep Beach, and they go through every year. And the hardest decisions that they ever have is who to be able to fund that year. But they do their best to spread that shower of financial love to as many charities, and really most of them are local.
That's
So
awesome.
it really does hit here in Volusia, Flagler, and a little bit in St. John's.
That's awesome. So then you're doing this with them, helping them do this, but then on the back end of that, the Childhood Cancer Foundation or somebody reaches out to you and says, "Hey, we need some help," and you're also helping them on the side. So not just through the event, which is an amazing thing in its own, but you're also helping them. And we talked about this a little bit prior to starting the broadcast. It's just that image, right? So a lot of times, like you said, nonprofits, they don't have a lot of funds. Their operational funds, a large amount goes into providing whatever service it is that they're trying to provide. Very little goes into marketing, branding, the image, right? So someone like
Exactly.
you comes in, you give them a whole overhaul look. And that's, like we can do that too. Come in, give an overhaul on their appearance. And now suddenly there may be somebody that's more willing to sit down and talk to them because they think, hey, this is really a legitimate nonprofit, right? There's so many nonprofits.
And I think that's a big thing, is the legitimacy aspect of it, because people nowadays, as much as I hate to say it, is cell phones have gotten better and better and better with their cameras and things like that. I mean, the access to better quality is easier than ever before. So now it's made people even more and more discerning over the quality. So that's why, I often tell my 501c3s that I work with, part of what I want to do for you is I want to explain some of the gear that I use and get someone trained so that I don't necessarily have to be there all the time for you to get that look or to get that quality imagery. But you know how it is. You see somebody go out there and they take a video and the phone is, straight up and down like this, and it's a little shaky, and then the wind blows and you can't hear anything. And sometimes those messages that are so important to get out get lost because the production quality is horrible. So if
Absolutely.
you think about it, I mean, the commercials that you see on TV for the ASPCA and things like that, I mean, there's a lot of money that goes into those productions. Well, my thing is I want to give local charities that value and that level of production, but they don't have to spend that budget. I mean, oftentimes I'm doing it pro bono because of the fact that I believe in what they do and I want to help them get to a point. And then, of course, a lot of times, and I'll put this out there to anybody, if you have a company and you have a charity that you love, if you end up getting a contract with me and we do some videos together, for every video that you give me, if you have a charity, I will do a video for them. So if you own a company and you say, hey, I own, blah, 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 grass cutting services. And you know what? My favorite charity is Leave the Hurt Behind, or whatever your favorite charity is. We do some business. I'm going to contact that charity. I'm going to say, in your name, by doing business with me, I am going to do a video for you at no charge. And
That's
I've always done that. Always
that's
done that.
awesome. I love that. I love that. Absolutely love that. That's great. That mm, you're gonna make me cry today.
No, 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 no. Happy
um,
to.
mm,
Happy to.
it's because I think we have a FASTSIGNS Cares program, and we've adopted a nonprofit, right? And of course, we did our Puerto Rico trip in the beginning of the year, where we did a missions trip for the earthquakes. And that's really my heart. I mean, but I see a lot of people that they're like, they don't quite understand, or they'll be like, do you really have the time to do? Because a lot of the stuff that I do is after hours. So if I work all day in my business and I work till 7 o'clock at night, when I get home, then I start working on this other stuff, right? And yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, I could not do it. But at the end of the day, that fuels me. So yes, you are going to make me cry, because I feel like, yes, that's.
No, I mean, I think it's really important. And, part of the time thing that we talk about is it's not about having time or not having time. It's about your prioritization of time. So if it's important to you, you'll find a way to fit it in. That's just the way it is. You do it. And, that is something also that in a way is kind of nice, is that when I do offer those services, the good part about that is they do understand that my schedule is busy, and that, we're going to work it in as possible. But at the same time, I mean, they give me that leeway because of the fact that I'm providing them, a lot of value at no charge. And then, we talk very quickly, and I know I'm very glad to hear that you're involved with Hot Rods for Heroes and Daytona Cars and Coffee also.
Yep.
So super stoked about the fact, again, there's another 501c3. They're really focused on military, they're focused on veterans, and they're focused on children. And they have an amazing event. It's going to be coming back again now to One Daytona, which is going to be an amazing place to have this thing. And so again, it's just another opportunity for you to get out there in the community and know whatever dollars you're spending are going to a great cause.
That's awesome. And a little bit about, do we know when that next event is? Is it still this month?
We are doing everything in our power. We're working on the last few tiny little dotting I's and crossing T's, but I believe that we will be there last Saturday of this month. Absolutely.
Awesome. So hopefully we can all be together at that event, and that's really cool. So I know Sean had, was it 300 cars out at Tanger?
Yeah, I know there have been times we've had over 400. Again, there's been just in the different places that we've moved to, there's been different reasons why the show hasn't really kind of worked the way it needs to. And some of it, without speaking out of turn here, some of it has been a little bit with the partnerships that we've had of certain expectations and things. And some of it has just been really the layout of facilities. But really the best part about moving to One Daytona is obviously it's ISC. I mean, they are motorsports people. Yeah. They love cars. They love having people on that property. They're very concerned about the public safety, how the show is. They want to be a partner in this. So they've really put their best foot forward in being a partner with us. And of course, all of the vendors and everything in the One Daytona, complex, I'm sure they're going to be very happy to see an additional 1,000 people there on the last Saturday of a month. So.
Absolutely. And it's a great venue. I love One Daytona. They're a good customer of ours. We work with them all the time at that facility, and it's just amazing. And it's right in front of the Speedway.
Yep.
Hello, it's perfect.
And it is a place, and look, we don't have to sugarcoat it or paint it pretty, but there are certain places in Daytona that you might not feel comfortable bringing a family at night. And I'll tell you what, I have been walking out of that Cobb movie theater after seeing a movie after midnight and still see families and still see it brightly lit and see security and see police there. So I can tell you, I'm confident that it's really a great place to take a family. And now with Four Rivers Barbecue there, I mean, Bass Pro Shops, it's just a wonderful place, and I'm very glad that we have it. And I'm just really looking forward to more and more vendors opening up shop there. And now that they've got the housing kind of semi or almost completely built there, I think that really you're going to see a big kind of rise in that neighborhood there. It's pretty exciting to see.
It's great to see now. Obviously, I haven't been here long enough, but people talk to me all the time. Oh my gosh, Carmen, if you would have been here 5 years ago or 10 years ago, the growth that you've seen here. So I'm excited to see what happens. In the last 3 years, it's really grown a lot in my eyes. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what it's going to look like. I think Daytona is it's growing so well. It's
And I'll
growing.
tell you what I'm really proud of, though, and I will tell you, just from what we've said, where I've lived, and I've lived in a lot of different places that people like to vacation. I've lived in New York, I've lived in Boston, I lived in San Diego, I lived in Texas, south of Austin, in a cute little German town that was known for floating rivers and Wurstfest. But the one thing that I've always said is I don't ever want to move somewhere and do whatever I can to turn it into the place that I just moved from. And what I'm starting to see about Daytona that I really do like is it's growing into its own. Now,
Yes.
I will tell you, I'm super stoked that the town I moved from had a Buc-ee's, and we're going to have a Buc-ee's. So
There you
I'm
go.
stoked for. But other than that, I want to live in Daytona, the world's most famous beach. I want to live in the birthplace of speed and the birthplace of NASCAR. I want to live in the motorsports, Hall of Fame area, and that's what I want to live in. I don't want to live in a sterilized community that looks the same as every other place up and down I-95. And I'm very proud of the direction that Daytona is going. And I'm glad we got here. Like I said, Carmen, I think we got here just in time to really experience the boom, and be a part of it. Be a really good in the weeds, boots on the ground. Be a part of it every day. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, and be a part of the positive message, right? So, we've often heard some negative things about Daytona and where it's been. And it's so nice to be able to talk about a community that really I've grown to love very much in a very positive way. I mean, we've got rules at my center where, we have like I love Daytona on the wall, all positive words. And if anyone comes in and says anything negative, which doesn't happen very much anymore, we always change the conversation and change the narrative because it really is changing. It really is growing, and it's growing very well. So a lot of times, like you'll see and we both come from Central Florida, so you'll see places grow or an area grow, and it's really not growing great. It's not the growth you want to see, but the growth that we're seeing here in Daytona is just phenomenal. I mean, with the Brown and Brown building right here on Beach Street, that I can't wait to see that in 2 years. It's going to be a great place to have a business. I have friends that have I have businesses up and down that strip. So I'm excited for them and what that's going to do for them. Amazing. I'm really excited about it. So let's talk a little bit more about your nonprofits. I saw on your Facebook that you had just changed your Facebook cover or picture to the domestic violence ribbon. And most people that follow me know that my heart is to create awareness for domestic violence. I was in a violent relationship for many years. I'm very blessed to be out of it, and blessed to be out of it, overcoming the trauma, the physical, blah, 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 right? So you started sharing with me a little bit about what that was, and we talked about sharing it here. So tell me a little bit about why you changed that.
Well, unfortunately, a few weeks ago, someone that I had just begun to really kind of develop a friendship with and mentor on some photography and time-lapse photography. She actually worked as a lifeguard at Disney. She also worked as a scorekeeper and referee at RDV in Orlando. We had crossed paths several times, as officials on and off the ice. She worked for the Orlando Solar Bears as an off-ice official. And so we kind of had a lot in common. And once I found out that she was into photography, obviously we started very quickly talking about how to kind of help her move to the next level. And I took on kind of more of a mentor role, which I was super happy about. And she started flying drones, and, we started talking, kind of like the way Sparky did with me. I kind of wanted to take her under my proverbial wing and teach her the right ways and whatnot. And of course, help her further her artwork along. Unfortunately, a few weeks ago, there was an incident, and there was several people that knew that there was an ongoing issue in the house. But she unfortunately did not make it. And her husband ended up, there's no other way to put it. Her husband ended up murdering her. And so unfortunately we lost Tina Marie Zolo. She was a fantastic person. We just had a beautiful memorial service for her down at RDV the other night. And listening to everyone that was closer to her than I was, speak and talk about how amazing a person she was, and how, even though she was suffering so much on the inside, that she was still able to capture that beauty when she took those photos and aerial pictures, showed really how strong she was. And, unfortunately she was at the point where she was making those roads to leave, and just didn't happen fast enough. And so, I've been very lucky in my life that domestic violence hasn't touched me, and hadn't really touched anybody that I knew or that I know that I knew. And so now that it has, it's, I really feel in order to make a change in people, there has to be some sort of altering moment. And I know that Tina being taken from all of us at that moment, it was altering for me. And I think that if I can do anything at this point, yeah, I've got a heavy load, and yeah, I do a lot with 501c3s and nonprofits. But if there's something I can do for anybody out there that does have a situation that they're unable to get out of, feel free to call me and say, hey, the sky is blue, and I'll know, hey, we got to do something. Or if there's any way that I can help anybody get out of a situation, or if there's any 501c3s that deal with that need any assistance in getting their message out, it's just one of those things. I'll do everything I can to help out any way I can. And I just, it's something I don't think in this day and age we should really have to worry about, and we should have to think about. But unfortunately, it continues to happen. So, at this point, my focus would be, changing that profile picture just to get people to ask me, hey, why is that changed? What is it? And, hopefully if I can shed a little light on something, bring it to people's awareness that it still exists, and that it's still a big problem. And, hopefully we can all work together to change it, and, just be a force to be better at it, and, better in our communities, and wrap ourselves around those people that need that help and need that protection.
Absolutely. And I asked you about it obviously because my heart is to provide advocacy for women, women and men in situations of domestic violence. And of course, I'm on the board now of the Beacon Center, which is the only registered and certified center here in Volusia County. Volusia County is also very high in the amount of calls that they get compared to the 60 other counties here in 60 or 70 other counties here in Florida. So, and because I am a survivor of domestic violence and a strong, independent woman that was very involved in.
Reach out and try to give you an air hug, by the way.
No. It's crazy because I feel the strongest I've ever felt, but in the moment, right? Even though people saw this very strong woman, because my personality hasn't changed, I'm the same person. I was so I couldn't make that step. I couldn't make the step to leave because it wasn't what I thought the stereotype was, right? So because I didn't fit the stereotype at home, it was hard to leave. Or because I felt like he was going to change, because it wouldn't happen every day. Maybe we would go 3 weeks, and sometimes we would go a month. I mean, we were together for 8 years. You know what I mean? And it wasn't all bad. So what I love is I love men talking about it. So from a ex-victim's perspective, and from from a woman's perspective, it's so important that this is more than just a woman's issue. It's just like any other social issue. We need to look at it. We need to talk about it. We need to realize that really it's happening in more places than we know. The most dangerous place for a woman to be is at home. When someone says that, and you think about the women in your life, that, and take all the stereotypes out, right? So there's all these stereotypes behind domestic violence. So if it's the most dangerous place to be, how many women are women of the home that are in danger and not talking about it and living in silence? So I think I encourage men to talk about it. I commend you for putting it on your page because it's a taboo subject.
I don't want to interrupt you on that, but I think when you talk about guys talking about it, it's the same thing. Like, to this day, my wife doesn't even know how to work a door handle. I mean, when we're together, she doesn't open a door. That's just all there is to it. If she never walks on the street side of the street. I mean, that's just the way I was raised. But I think guys have to be accountable with other guys. If you're out somewhere and you see something, get involved. Be like, dude, that's not cool, man. You know, that's not cool. I'm not that type of person that can sit back and watch someone else hurt somebody else and be okay with it. So, you know, guys out there, yeah, the conversation needs to be had, and guys need to know it's not okay verbally, physically, to mistreat or assault anybody, much less a woman. And that's not being chauvinistic by any means. I'm just saying that, you know, guys have to hold each other accountable to a higher standard and be like, look, be a man. Okay, just don't be a jerk. And there just needs to be more of that.
Yeah, and women too. I mean, you know, we say it all the time. Unfortunately, we hear less and less about men, but when we hear situations of men that have gone through it, it is very damaging to them. A lot of it's emotional. So as we just need to be better humans. we're seeing it in the world today. We need to be better humans. You know, we need to make sure that we love each other. We need to make sure that we are, I say, holding hands and impacting our community. But that, I mean, that really is what it takes. You can't do it on your own. I can't do it on my own. It's why I bring it up, right? Hey, I saw this. Can I mention it? Because ultimately my goal is that we're comfortable talking about it.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for sharing that story. I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'll keep her family and loved ones in prayers. And I hope that if you do want to get involved here, I know the nonprofit to get you involved with. Not another thing to add to your plate, but
I think, you know, we've already figured out that that's going to happen. So, you know, whatever level we can do, we'll definitely work on that. I would love to lend my time and talents to that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me, because I know that's it's being open, honest, and transparent. And sometimes being open, honest, and transparent is also being comfortable, being uncomfortable talking about things. So I really, really appreciate that. Tell me a little bit about the music. So just so you know, before you walked, Chris Villa from Aveska, who was an engineer locally, now has moved, brought you into my center and introduced us. Do you remember that? And I loved the business card, because I was like, this guy's not just a photographer, he's an artist. That's what I thought. And I think I took pictures of your business card. Do you remember that? It's on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And right before that, maybe a month or so before, yes, because they're just so nice. I love them. It's, you know, you need to print them with me.
I need to tell the company to move.
They were very creative, right? So every set of business card had a different picture. It was so neat. And but right before, I had seen you perform, and I want to say it was Caribbean Jacks, maybe, probably Caribbean Jacks. So I was like, you know, this gentleman, he performed at Caribbean Jacks. So tell me about the music.
Well, one of the things, in addition to hockey, that kept me traveling around the country was music. I've been a professional musician for going on years, and I don't want to date myself any more than I am. But I'm a singer-songwriter, and we lived in Nashville for a piece, and I toured nationally with one band, toured locally and regionally with another. And you know, I jokingly tell everybody, you know, the stuff I do now, there's no ego. I'm not trying to push my own stuff out there. I literally am a jukebox. I play songs you probably know by heart with some of mine too mixed in, and you know, just really play, you know, everything from Margaritaville, Brown Eyed Girl, Sweet Home Alabama, you know, Can't You See, you know, all that stuff, all the way up to, you know, some original stuff. I just play what people want to hear. So a couple times a month, I'm over at Caribbean Jacks. They haven't started their live music up again, so that should be coming sometime soon. But we did book the second Thursday every month from now until the end of the year at First Turn. Right there in Port Orange, right there on Ridgewood. So I'll be there first Thursday or second Thursday every single month. And I just love it. It's something I really, really love to do. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's just another way for me to express myself, and it's a release. You know, I kind of can get lost in that music and whatever's bothering me, whatever's on my mind. You know, it's another way for me to be creative, have fun, and just share, you know, a little bit of what I do with other people. So I just enjoy it.
Is there a particular song that is just your favorite? You're like, listen, I'm going to play this song regardless where I'm at. Like, I'm playing this song.
You know, it's funny you mention that, because I have a couple. I start off every single acoustic show without fail with Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old by Garth Brooks. And that's just a song that I've always started on it. And I originally started doing it because it's just a really good song for me to warm up with. It gets my fingers going on the guitar, gets my voice going because there's a little bit of range involved. And then it just became a thing. So every single time I play, no matter whether I play without fail, that's the first song that I'll play no matter what. And then I usually finish my shows with a song by a guy named Gary Stewart, who's a Florida guy, but who's kind of bigger in the Texas music scene. And it's called Empty Glass. And it's kind of a somber song, talks about, it's closing time and little things like that. So those two songs I play, but, there's some artists throughout my musical career that have influenced me. Some people wouldn't even know. Guys like Chris Ledoux, he was a huge influence in my life, and I did rodeo for a little while. I rode bulls, so during that part of my life, his music was a huge influence. Luckily, my dad, even though he's up in his years and he's pushing 89 years old, he was the one that introduced me to the Doors and Pink Floyd and the Who and that. And my sister is 5 years older than me, so when the AC/DC stuff came around, that's where she was. I was a product of, the early 90s. So, I had kind of everything from the hair metal stuff to the start of the kind of, punky new wave stuff to the breakdancing stuff. So, luckily, and then you wrap all of that with some experiences and living different places and just loving a positive vibration reggae feel. So, I kind of have taken all that stuff and just kind of melded it into one little kind of ball, and that's really what I am musically. So, there might be a time where I'm literally listening to Sirius Satellite Radio and I hook up some old like 70s yacht rock, and then the next minute I might be listening to Octane, or I might be listening to Alice in Chains or something. I mean, you never know. It's just crazy. But that's what I love about music, Whatever you're feeling, there's a song for it.
It's important, because you're an artist, obviously you get to do something that you're passionate about, but it's important to do all the things that you're passionate about. So I have a couple of friends, a couple of colleagues that, they just work. I am one of those currently. So I need to work on that, take my own advice, but I'm constantly telling them, find something you're passionate about. Find something you're super passionate about, whether it's connecting people, whether it's serving, whether it's music. Find something that you love that just makes you tick, and just make sure you don't lose it, right?
I agree totally. I'll tell you, there's a book called Essentialism, and the guy that wrote that book, his name is escaping me. I'll send you a link later on. But one of the things that stood out when I was listening to the audiobook as I was riding my little night rides, I'm listening to this book, and this guy was talking about protecting the asset. And what he meant by protecting the asset was you. Some of us, especially when we're driven, we spend so much time working. And whether it's on something you're passionate about or not, you spend so much time working that you forget to take care of the major asset. You forget to eat properly because you're on the run all the time. You forget to take care of yourself and your body. You forget, to get enough sleep because you're just driving. I've literally started to take a back seat. I've started to try to sleep more. I've started to get on the bike and, ride a little bit more. But, the diet thing, try to do that. But again, it's all about protecting the asset. And I would recommend too, you've got to take that time to recharge your batteries. So even if you do, like with what I do, there are times where I've got to get away from these computers. I've got to get away from having a camera. I've just got to go and do something else for an hour, so you just got to be really kind of, really careful about, even though you love what you do, don't let it consume you completely. But then I'll also say, even though I love playing hockey, which I still do, I still referee hockey, I still, play music, my company is number one, first and foremost. And if there's any sort of things that come up where there's any little bit of a conflict, my company's going to win out.
Yeah, I do tell people, I have a friend that, he's like, let me guess, you're working. And I'm like, I'm working at home. Does that count? But because the business right now is, I felt like I was kind of getting out of that. And then obviously with COVID, I feel like I've slowly started to get back into that habit of working till midnight, which I feel very blessed to be able to do. Because I love what I do. I love my brand, but I am definitely looking forward to the day where it gets a little bit more normal and I can focus on some new adventures.
Yep, absolutely.
So was there a COVID-19 lesson for you? Did you have like an aha moment?
Yeah. I can't say I really did, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what the lesson was for me. The lesson was stop watching mainstream news. I don't care whether it's MSN, CNBC, Fox, whatever. I felt I did what I needed to do to keep myself and the people around me safe during this. We did self quarantine when it was really required to do that. We tried to stay home as much as possible, have groceries delivered, whatever the case was. And even though, I've gone out and I've still been working, I've been very mindful of other people's feelings about things. If we're not required to wear a mask, but if it makes somebody else feel good, then I would do that. But I really think, again, that the whole lesson for the COVID thing that a lot of people can learn is just the respecting other people's space, respecting other people's, right to have a reaction the way that they have. Don't think people are stupid because they feel a certain way, or, don't think, that guy is a conspiracy theorist. He's, whoever it is. Just, again, you brought it up earlier. Just have respect for everybody. You know what I mean? And I think that that's really the biggest lesson that everybody can learn out of it, is really kind of understand that no matter who it is and what their feelings are or what your own feelings are, everyone is different through this, and we just have to get it through it together. Be a human being. To steal what you said, just be human. That's it.
Just be human and just be kind. I feel like right now I did a one-on-one with Daniela, and we talked a lot about kindness. Yes. I feel like, by the way, every single time I go back and watch these, I feel like I'm constantly telling people, I love you. I love that person. So apparently I love a lot of people. And
that's great, though. That's absolutely amazing. That's what the world needs.
Yeah, for sure. The world needs a lot of Carmen. Do you know what that would take? A lot of coffee. People would be like, give these women sedatives. We had a conversation about kindness, and really, it all kind of goes back to kindness, and we were talking about Volusia County and just how positive people are here. And I feel like everybody wants to see each other win. And especially right now, I feel like we really need to be kind to each other. Kind regardless of what our perceptions, our opinions, and our ideas are, because we have the right to be different. And there's we can learn so much from people that are different. Like, I love to sit down with someone who thinks totally different than me, because I get so much perspective. It may not change my mind about how I feel or what I believe about something, but I've learned something new. Usually it's empathy. I understand now why somebody believes a certain way. I challenge people to do it all the time, and just to be quiet and listen. So kindness, I love that. I absolutely love that.
I could not agree with you more. And I think, the biggest thing that we're running into right now in this kind of time that we're in is the fact that people aren't able to do that without emotion overtaking them. Yeah. So, perfect case in point, I'm not going to talk about my personal, political beliefs on here by any means, because it's really, honestly, it's not even that it's nobody's business. It just doesn't matter, but I can tell you that my father and I don't see eye to eye. So I've had times, because of how much I respect him. I mean, my dad is a war veteran, fought in the Korean War, was an aerospace engineer his whole life. I mean, means the absolute world to me. I'm going to be lost without him. But we don't see eye to eye at all on politics. And even though I've tried to have those conversations where I've said, I want to know, I'm a sponge. Please tell me, what is it about the way you feel and how passionate you are about it that makes you feel that way? And unfortunately, we can't get through that without a shouting match. It just happens. But I do really feel like, debate and it's healthy. I mean, letting people know, hey, this is how I feel. This is why I feel this way. But you know what? I'm open to hearing the same thing from you, and maybe we'll find some middle ground. Maybe we don't, but I'll still respect you on the other side of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I love to hear that too. I'm so glad that we connected. You know, oftentimes we get to spend time with people, but not really spend time with people. So we'll see each other at a business after hours or on a call, or like you were in my showroom, and then we never really get an opportunity to connect, even though I think you're amazing. I follow you on social media. I love your attitude. I love the way that you talk about our community. Yeah, I can keep it going.
Stop, 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 stop.
You've always been very kind to work with, and and I have a lot of colleagues that work with you that have great things to say about you. So it's so nice to be able to sit and just have a one-on-one. I appreciate your time so very much, and I hope I think the regional chamber is actually going to have a business after hours soon. I'm so excited. So I hope that we get to see each other there, but if not, I hope that we get to see each other at the cars event. I hope we get to be in front of each other soon and
Well,
talk and
we're going
connect.
to do some business together too, because this logo needs to be on some stickers, and I need to come and see you. So I definitely have some needs that Fast Signs is going to be able to fill. So I'll definitely come see you. So
Awesome. Well, we
def-
appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for everything that you do in our community. Thank you for your positive attitude, and thank you for connecting.
I can't tell you how amazing this was. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me and kind of letting me kind of expose what I do and who I am to all the people that you know are friends with you and follow you. So if I haven't met you yet, hi, thanks for taking some time to dig inside this crazy brain up here. And Carmen, again, thank you so much for having me. This was absolutely wonderful. And let's get together on not only my sticker stuff, but I do want to talk to you about the 501c3. So.
Awesome. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week on Tuesday.
Bye.